How can I help my daughter with her reading?
Searching for help with Dachshund reading.
No.
Let me try. Sarah's bright, but when she's reading, she has trouble sounding out words.
Playing world music.
What?
I give up.
Wait, I was trying to show you how Sarah feels every day. Frustrating, isn't it? Redirecting to understood.org.
Join parents and experts at understood.org, a free online resource about learning and attention issues to help your child thrive.
Good morning. I am Chief Calvin Williams of the Cleveland Division of Police, and I will be your MC for the ceremony today. But before we get started, I'm going to bring up Michelle Kinney from Blessed Hope Missionary Baptist Church with our invocation.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Let's see those smiling faces that you carry this morning when the Lord woke you up. Let's see that. That's exciting. My name is Michelle Kinney. I'm a member of Blessed Hope Missionary Baptist Church, and today is a special day. This is a 4-year event. I have been part of this event for the past 4 years. Just to give you a brief history, my sister was murdered in 2005 from domestic violence. It happened in front of 2 of her children and 3. So this event and domestic violence awareness is very important to me. 1 in 4 people experience domestic violence. So when you look around the room, you can see and understand that 1 in 4 of you have experienced it, been around it, or been a part of it. So I just want to, each year I talk about something different. I always talk about help understand God, meaning pass a hug. But this year I want to do something a little bit different that you can do, that you can share with your neighbors, your friends, your coworkers, and that is be nice today. Every time you wake up in the morning, think about being nice today. Share that with your friends. When you think about doing something negative, be nice today. That's something that we can share with our neighbors, share with our friends. Be nice today. Ephesians 4:29 states, "Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which it do good to the use of edifying and ministering grace to the hearers." So when you go about your day today, and each and every day that the Lord wakes you up, be nice today. So if you don't remember anything else, pass a hug and be nice today. Let us bow our heads. Thank you, Lord, for this opportunity to get up every single year to speak on behalf of you, to promote this program, to encourage individuals under the sound of my voice to do good and to be nice today. Lord, you are great. Lord, you are good. And you encourage us, you wake us up, and you encourage us to be nice to our neighbors, to be nice to our friends, even when those around us are not nice to us. If we encourage niceness, we can continue to be nice in our neighborhoods to make our neighborhoods better. Lord, I would like to also thank you for the hands that have prepared the food for the nourishment of our bodies. Thank you, Lord, for everything that you have done and what you will do in the future of the city of Cleveland and Cuyahoga County. It's in these words that I say to you, thank you again. Amen.
As Michelle stated, October is National Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And here in Northeast Ohio, although from time to time we like to paint the town red, white, and blue for our Indians, or wine and gold for our calves, or brown and orange for our browns. The month of October, we paint the town purple. And that's so that we get out the message of awareness for domestic violence, for our victims and for their families out there. Right now, I'm going to read a proclamation from Mayor Frankie Jackson, who unfortunately couldn't be here today, but the mayor is always supportive of this event and other events like this. And unfortunately, he couldn't be here, but of course, he sends his words. I'm not going to read the entire proclamation. It's lengthy, but I'll read the pertinent parts. Whereas on behalf of the citizens of the city of Cleveland, I am honored to offer this proclamation designating October, October 2018 as Cleveland Says No More Month. And Whereas violence against women and children is a prevalent social ill that is widespread and devastating to our society as a whole. The problems of sexual and domestic violence are not confined to any group or groups of people, but crosses all economic, racial, gender, educational, religious, and societal barriers, and are sustained by societal indifference. Societal indifference, and that's why we're here, for awareness. Whereas the crimes of domestic violence and sexual violence violate the individual's privacy, dignity, security, and humanity due to the systematic use of physical, emotional, sexual, psychological, and economic control and or abuse. When a family member is abused, it can have long-term damaging effects on the victim that also leave a mark on the family, friends, and the community at large. Victims should have help to find the compassion, comfort, and healing that they need, and abusers should be punished to the fullest extent of the law. Whereas we dedicate ourselves to protecting vulnerable members of our community, and we encourage domestic and sexual violence victims and their families to seek assistance from appropriate victim services organizations. Now, therefore, I, Frank G. Jackson, the 56th Mayor of the City of Cleveland, do hereby offer this proclamation designating October as Cleveland Says No More Month in the City of Cleveland. Thank you to Mayor Jackson. And now, for our opening speaker. Melissa Graves is the new CEO of the Domestic Violence and Child Advocacy Center here in Cleveland. Melissa brings a wealth of knowledge and experience to that position, and I'd like you to welcome her for a few words. Melissa?
Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Cassandra. And it's wonderful to be here in this sea of purple, launching Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and as we gather this morning to say no more. Thank you, Mayor Jackson, for that really powerful proclamation. It covered so much of the issues that are encompassed in domestic violence, and I'm really honored to be here with so many of you to talk this morning. So I know I'm preaching to the choir a bit when I say that domestic violence is an issue that devastates victims, families, and our community. 1 in 4 women, 1 in 7 men will be the victims of domestic violence in their lifetime. This isn't just about anger. It's not just about couples who have some issues and need some counseling. It's not just limited to physical abuse. As we all know, it's mental, it's emotional, it's financial, it's sexual. It's all using fear, intimidation, isolation, threats to other family members, all in an attempt to control another person. DV happens across all racial lines, socioeconomic, religious, and all types of relationships, including same-sex relationships, and in all genders. However, the impact of class, culture, and race cannot be underestimated. Women of color, refugees, immigrants face significant additional barriers to safety, to resources, and to responses from our systems. The effects are devastating. Trauma, increased likelihoods of PTSD, substance abuse, depression, many missed days of work, and of course, physical injury and death. Here in Ohio, from 2016 to 2017, we had 116 fatalities that were due to domestic violence in 1 year. Our police partners know this. They see it all the time, and domestic violence calls are some of their most dangerous calls. DVCAC has been honored to work with our police partners across the county to have dialogue and to do training to help police understand the full dynamics of abusive relationships. The questions that we get most frequently from our police officers are, why do victims stay? Why do they keep going back? And where we're able to really have dialogue and help understand and explore all of the dynamics in abusive relationships, they have a little bit more perspective and understanding when they come upon a scene to really assess that situation and understand the totality of what might be happening in that relationship. We have been particularly honored to work with Cleveland's 1st and 5th districts right here along with Witness Victim Services Center, in a pilot project called the Domestic Violence High Risk Team. And in that project, we're doing just that. We're training police officers around the dynamics of abuse, and then utilizing a risk assessment tool when they go on scene that helps them determine if that situation has the likelihood that it could escalate to a homicide situation. What research is showing is that in domestic violence situations, if a victim has previously been strangled, that victim is 750% more times likely to be the victim of a homicide. And if there's a firearm in the home, that victim is 5 times more likely to be the victim of a homicide. Federal prosecutors are taking steps to help communities get guns out of the hands of abusers. We at DVC will be holding a press conference tomorrow with U.S. Attorney Justin Herdman to announce their initiative to help local communities. When someone is convicted of a domestic violence charge, they are not allowed to own or to have in their possession a firearm. So the U.S. attorneys want our local partners to know that they are willing to prosecute those cases at the federal level. So this month, here today, Cleveland says no more. No More is the national campaign to bring awareness and to end domestic violence and sexual assault. 2/3 of women who have been physically assaulted by their partner have also been sexually assaulted by their partner, and those cases are less likely to be investigated and prosecuted. Any person who works with victims was likely watching with much emotion over the last week as we saw the testimony of Dr. Blasey Ford play out on the national stage. I was particularly sending strength and encouragement to our colleagues at Cleveland Rape Crisis Center. You guys did a fantastic job of giving a powerful response to that difficult issue and helping us here in Cleveland really process what that means for sexual assault survivors. But during the hearing, Senator Klobuchar said something that really struck me. She said, quote, "There was a time when people felt that what happened inside the house belongs there, not inside the courthouse. Those days are over," end quote. Indeed, we've made a lot of strides, but we still have a long way to go. We all know that. So during October, DVCAC is using the theme, Silence Hides Violence, Let's Talk. Silence and the lack of understanding about domestic violence and child abuse, yes, and sexual assault are big reasons why these issues continue to persist. At DVC this month, we're going to be doing video blogs each week. We're going to be working with CIC and CRCC and Tri-C to have a big conversation with students there. We're going to be hosting Councilmember Conwell at our facility to do a series on domestic violence, and we will be out there speaking everywhere and anywhere we can. Understanding the signs of abuse and knowing what to do are critical. So what would you do if there was someone in your life who you thought might be in a dangerous situation or who came to you and said that they were experiencing this in their home? First and foremost, I think the most important thing is to support. Don't judge. Don't give advice as to what you think they should do in that situation. Just listen, validate, and encourage, because so often that's not what victims are experiencing in their lives. Encourage them to reach out for help. Professional advocates on helplines are trained and experienced in helping victims determine what is the safest next best step for them. Every victim is different. Every situation is different. DVCAC's helpline, 391-HELP, is for anyone experiencing abuse. It's also for any family member or friend or concern, or anyone who has a concern for a person in their life, to help you talk through what you might do to be helpful to that person. We have lots of posters over on the side. If you need any more posters for your community centers, your churches, your places of work, we're really trying to get out the word and get out that number and let people know that they're not alone and that they can reach out and have somebody walk with them as they go through that journey. DVC is working with more than 20,000 women, children, and men every year to break cycles of abuse, to provide safety, healing, and to break those cycles. So it is an honor to be part of this community as we all work together to say no more. Thank you.
Thank you, Melissa. A lot of great information. And the reason we're here today is for us to take that information back out in our communities and to advocate for victims and their families and to make sure that Cleveland says no more. Before I get back into the program, I want to definitely acknowledge some of our sponsors and our support folks here. I want to give a shout out to, of course, the Cleveland Browns. Jenner and Brittany, thanks for coming. The Browns are great. The Browns are a great supporter, not just of the Cleveland Division of Police, but the city in general. So thanks to the Browns. Go Browns. We got Rob. Where's Jen? Where's Sergeant Chotch? Where's Jen? Did she leave? Sergeant Jennifer Chotch is the Public Information Officer for the Division of Police. And whenever you see something go out, especially a Twitter that says we got Rob, that came from Jen. Thanks, Jen. I also want to acknowledge the Cleveland Department of Health for their support of this event. Thank you, appreciate it. TV20, gonna give a wave. You gotta put the camera on me, I'm waving. TV20, thank you guys, thank you, thank you. The Domestic Violence and Child Advocacy Center, you heard from Melissa earlier. Thank you guys, thanks for coming. A Taste of Cleveland, the caterer. Thank you, ladies. Food was great, thank you. The Rape Crisis Center, is still here. Sandra Miller is still here with her staff, thank you. I'm sorry. I should know to take my glasses off so I can read. I wanted to see you guys, see your pretty faces, so I put them back on. The Black Health Coalition, Yvanka is up here. She's going to be one of our speakers in the table down front. Thank you guys for coming. And also our Starbucks partner. Thanks, Mike. Thanks for coming. Appreciate Starbucks being here. Great coffee. True story. Been a police officer for 32 years. I never drank coffee until about 3 months ago. And now I'm drinking Starbucks here. Can I do that? Can I endorse Starbucks? Sorry. But I drink coffee now. It's a good coffee, and it's my replacement for energy drinks. So people told me they weren't good for you, so I stopped drinking that, and now I'm drinking coffee. And then, of course, our law enforcement partners. Can you stand up? Carolyn Williams from the Federal Reserve, our ATF partners. We also have, I think our city prosecutor is here, or was here. Is he still here? Oh, there he is. Our first assistant prosecutor for the city of Cleveland. Also, our former judge, administrative judge for the city of Cleveland. Where's the judge? Is he back there? Thanks, Judge. Thanks for coming. Who did I miss? I know we got some state folks here. Command staff for the Division of Police. Commander Ross is here, Deputy Chief Pertel, some of our detectives from the division. I appreciate you guys coming. And all of our other partners, both our nonprofit and our state and federal city partners, we appreciate you for making this event possible. And now, without further ado, I'm going to bring up a young man who has a story to tell. His project is called Saving Our Sons, Mr. Cameron Black.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me here today. Special thank you to Cassandra and everyone who helped bring this together. Thank you. Sorry about that. So, I'm so excited to be here today and very, very appreciative to be able to speak about domestic abuse. It sits very close to my heart. Here I stand now, a 27-year-old man who remembers violence in my home, my mother's home, while I was growing up. I truly thank God she's still here with me today. A brief background in so many words. My beautiful mother ran away at just 16 years old, forced to grow up all too quickly, my mother found refuge in certain men. Under the circumstance, the men didn't have her best intentions at heart. She became familiar with, a fast street way of substance abuse and other things. My mother did the best that she could with her dealt hand, but oftentimes found herself on the receiving end of physical abuse. I recall an afternoon when my mother's then boyfriend came home and began rustling through my mother's mail, sitting on the counter in the dining room of our second-story apartment. My mother advised him to stop going through her things or leave, and in this instance, she was rushed with enough force to break through the kitchen window with her rear hanging out. If she hadn't caught herself, she would have fallen 2 stories onto a recently cut down tree. As we all took a moment to absorb what had happened, her then boyfriend went into a nearby drawer and grabbed a knife and proceeded to rush my mother. At 7 or 8 years old, I had no clue what to do, so I ran to him and I held the back of his shirt until I think he had a moment of clarity and ran out of the house. I've helped dress my mother's wounds after she was thrown down a flight of stairs, and that's by a boyfriend 10 years later. And I say all this with as much respect for my mother as I could have for anyone. I've always lived in a certain fear for my mother to an extent because I believe she has been so abused domestically that she finds a sense of normalcy in this. And that last statement is why I'm here today. There's nothing normal about domestic abuse. There's no reason things have to ever go that far. The effects are crippling for some, whole families even. I still feel sorrow for the events that I've witnessed. However, I've taken every step that I can to empower my mother and every woman I meet. To know that she is enough, and enough is enough. And to my fellow gentlemen in the audience, I implore you to treat every woman like a delicate, beautiful flower. You never know how important she may be to the others in her life. We can truly let our past experience shape a new day for ourselves and those around us. Please implement any of the services that you've seen here today and share them with anyone who may be in that type of situation. Young men, know that you are loved and worthy, and talking about your feelings is okay. Not only okay, but it's the right thing to do. Respect each other, brothers and sisters, and God's favor to you all. Thank you.
Our guest speaker for the day is Ms. Javanka Hall. She is the Executive Director for the Northeast Ohio Black Health Coalition. Was year before last, yes, at an event that they sponsored here in the community that really talked about health disparities among African Americans, and also talked about police-community relations. So we had some nice conversations about those 2 issues, and I hope we can collaborate here real soon on some things that they're working on with her foundation. Without further ado, Ms. Javanka Hall.
Thank you. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you, Chief Williams. And thank you to the members of the Northeast Ohio Black Health Coalition that are here with me today. I couldn't do this work without them. I also want to thank my grandmother, who's not here, who's at home, but who always cheers me on every step of the way. My grandmother's 87 years old, and we know that when you have 87 years behind you, that you've seen a lot. So I know in the program it says that the title of my piece is In Memory Of, but I want to make you know that it is fighting for me to live. So there's a picture of myself and my mother at my table, and every time I speak, no matter where I'm at, I take a picture of her with me because she is my inspiration. She is the reason that I am here, because she fought for me to live. As I walked across the stage to receive my MPA in public policy from Texas Southern University, I couldn't help but think about the fact that the most important person in my life couldn't be here to watch me across the stage. After she had been the first person, after all, she had been the first person that I ever walked to and walked with. That night in 1974, my life was forever changed. My childhood promise to use my life to help others has led to the creation of cutting-edge programs and impacted thousands of people's lives. I'm a nationally recognized award winner. I have 3 congressional awards and more than 20 other honors, individually and as the director of the Northeast Ohio Black Health Coalition. I am a mother, grandmother, and activist, deeply impassioned and involved in social justice activities. Whether it's speaking against environmental issues, systemic racism, cardiovascular disease, infant mortality, domestic violence, health disparities, mental illness, juvenile justice, employment, education, or hosting community events and forums, I use my voice to make a difference in the lives of others. Above everything that I am and wish to be, I am Yvonne Boston Hall's daughter, a fighter willing to risk everything to make sure that her voice and the voice of others like her are never silenced. My mother was a victim of domestic violence, but so was I. At 17, she met the man that would eventually take her life. He was charismatic and swept her off her feet. She soon married, and soon after, her Prince Charming turned into a monster. Pushing and shoving quickly turned to fists and objects. He could be so kind and then so cruel. Once purchasing 2 puppies for us, only to get angry and snap their necks in front of his horrified family. Young people, this is not what love looks like. Love is protecting, kind, and loving. Love makes you laugh, smile, and empowered. Love doesn't hurt. Love is supposed to be your sweetie being sweet. But what happens when your sweetie ain't so sweet? She was once told by a physician, after being profusely beaten, that she needed to change how she changed her hair because of the split from the opening in her hair. No services or systems were in place to protect her. She put up with it year after year, hiding her pain behind her smile. Every smile ain't happy. At all of 5 foot 1 inch tall, 90 pounds, of her knew that she needed to leave. But every time she got away, he would find her and convince the landlord to open the door and let him in, and we would come home with him sitting at our table. Then one morning, the unthinkable happened. He had shown up to our place, a place that she had just escaped to, and she knew that she needed to get us and leave. She plugged in the iron, hoping to iron his clothes and make him leave. But when he thought he wasn't getting her full attention, he took the hot iron and placed it on the face of my young brother. She was willing to take the abuse, but the abuse of her children was intolerable. On November the 19th, 1973, at the age of 23, she was officially granted a divorce. As a child, I can remember walking down the hall of the courthouse and her saying, "Keep walking, don't look back." He was walking behind us, And there she was with nobody to protect her in a public space. No guards to escort her to her car or to bus. This was a journey she was on alone. On September the 14th, 1974, I was 6 years old, just 2 months shy of my 7th birthday. And we had settled into a new space, and we were walking home, myself and my 6-year-old brother. We're the same age, y'all, okay? And we realized that he had spotted us and followed us home. That night, the second day of school in 1974, my mother danced and sang with us. Looking back, it was like she was saying bye. She wanted us to remember her happy, smiling, young, and beautiful. She fought with all she had so that we could live. His promise that day was that we would all die, but God had other plans. I am her voice. I am here because she fought for me to live. Many will question why she stayed, but where would she go? The first domestic violence center didn't open until 2 years after she was gone, and even then, it wasn't prepared to handle domestic violence in Black women. I started the Northeast Ohio Black Health Coalition because that was my childhood promise. My first initiative was LEAVE, Ladies Escaping All Violence. It was a way to tell her story and to hear a child's perspective on domestic violence. I never thought about domestic violence in men, although I knew as a child that my brother had been victimized. One day, a young man walked up to me while I was talking about domestic violence, and he asked if there was a program that focused on men, that they were victims, and he told me that he was a victim, that his girlfriend was violent, and that he stayed because he wanted to be there for his children. I told him, I don't have a program today, but I will tomorrow. I reached out to my network with a couple of names, and in the end, we decided on MOVE, Men Overcoming Violent Environments. These are the Northeast Ohio Black Health Coalition's responses to addressing domestic violence. You see, my life was forever changed because of the death of Yvonne Boston Hall at age 24. Yvonka M. Hall, age 50, can live and live my purpose. It took me a long time to realize that in order for me to do this work, in order for me to have a deep understanding of the issues, in order for me to do all of the work, heart and soul, she had to leave. My purpose is to make sure that she isn't forgotten. I've heard people say that as long as a person's name is uttered, they live on. Make sure that your loved ones live on, utter their names. So what I want you to do with me is I want everyone to think of the name of the person that you know that is gone because of domestic violence. And I want you to say it out loud. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. Yvonne Boston Hall. Let's never forget. Resources are available today that wasn't available to my mom and her. Women and men facing insurmountable odds in a society that victimizes victims. Sometimes I have nothing, and then I pray and realize that my goal is not to be a millionaire. My goal is to change 1 million lives. Mary Bethune put it this way: I plunged into the work of creating something from nothing. Though I hadn't a penny left, I considered cash the smallest part of my resources. I had faith in a living God, faith in myself, and a desire to serve. For those of you who are wondering what happened to my father, in 1975, he was tried and convicted of the murder of my mom, and he was given only 3 to 15 years because they accidentally charged him with the wrong crime. He only served less than 9 years, and in 1983, he came home. He committed another offense against a woman and was sent back to jail. In 2016, he came up for parole, and in 2016, I went to Facebook and show people how to write a letter to the parole board. My mother, Yvonne Boston Hall, was brutally murdered by her ex-husband, my father, David Hall Sr., in September 1974, after he followed us home from school and later the evening forced entry into our home by breaking down the front door and using a toy box to block the bedroom door into the children's room. I was 6 years old, 2 months shy of my 7th birthday. That evening is forever etched in my mind, the day I witnessed my mom's brutal murder. The saying is that time heals all wounds. That's not the case with me. I have tried to use my life to change the circumstances of others, because that day I was broken. My family was broken. My brothers, uncles, grandparents, great-grandparents, great-aunts and uncles, great-great-aunts and uncles, cousins, and my mom's friends all had a life-altering experience. I remember after her death hoping and wishing every time the door opened that it was her coming to play, laugh, and tickle me. I think of my mother and how her life would have been had it not been for the hateful and vengeful acts of David Hall Sr. As I matriculated through school, primary, junior, senior, undergrad, and graduate school, at each step, wishing she was here to cheer me on. Watching her grandchildren grow up without a grandmother and not understanding that my grandmother is not my mother. You see, although life has provided me a great many luxuries, the most luxurious thing that I wish for is her. I can't bring her back, but I can make sure that I speak to the reason why David Hall Sr. should remain exactly where he is and live out his days there. You see, although he has been incarcerated, he has been able to have visits from his family and friends. He's been able to go outside and enjoy the sunshine. He's been able to savor his favorite snacks. He's been able to live, and that is what he took away from my mother. Mr. Hall has been afforded what he didn't give her, and that is time. He's been able to grow old, and for me, my mother will always be 24 years old. A beautiful and vibrant woman that was gone, taken while in the safety of her home, in front of her children and brother, and left to die on the kitchen floor. On April the 18th, so this was 2 years ago, she would have celebrated her 66th birthday. But 42 years ago, Mr. Hall decided that she didn't deserve to live, and for that, he deserves to stay where he is. I don't hate him. I have no animosity towards him. But I must stand for my mother because she is not here to stand for herself. I will use my very last breath to make sure that her voice is heard and that her life is never forgotten. Their response back was, I received my answer to the letter to the Ohio Department of Rehabilitation and Correction Parole Board. I would like to inform you that on September the 20th, 2016, the offender appeared before a panel. It was the decision of the parole board to deny this offender at this time. In July 2020, he will come up again, and God willing, I will be here to block it. I was raised by a fighter. It's in my DNA. I have spoken to audiences across the country, but my heart belongs here. I understand the impact of domestic violence and the impact of domestic violence on children, families, and friends. Let's vow that today we will make sure that domestic violence is no longer something that is spoken because of shame, not spoken because of shame. Let's make sure that we are there to listen without judgment, love without boundaries, and lift people that are suffering. Help me so that others live. Support the Northeast Ohio Black Health Coalition, and in the words of Angela Davis, I am no longer accepting the things I cannot change. I am changing the things I cannot accept.
I want to personally thank Mrs. Hall for sharing that with us. Her story, unfortunately, is not an exception. Unfortunately, oftentimes turns out to be the rule. And that's why we're here today. You know, it's the story of the Hall family, it's the story of the Black family, the story of the Williams family, the Jones family, the Smith family, the Krakowski family, the story of a lot of families here in this country, and it shouldn't be. And the resources that she talked about that were not available to her and her family in 1974, those resources are here today. And our job is to make sure that everybody in similar situations takes advantage of those resources, everyone. So I'm glad you guys showed up today, but our mission does not stop in October 2018. Our mission goes on month after month, year after year. So make sure that we spread the word. At this time, I'm going to bring up one of our sponsors here in the city. Our very own Cleveland Browns do a great job for us. They support us in everything that we do here in Northeast Ohio. And Jenner is here to speak a little bit about the Browns. Jenner Teckamseh.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Chief Williams, for having us here today and for making today possible. And I just want to thank Ivanka for sharing your story. I know it's one that will stay with me for so long. And when I came in this morning, I saw the picture on the table and I wondered what it was about. And I never met your mom, obviously, but I can imagine she's smiling down on you from heaven right now. And so proud of the woman you have become. But thank you. That took a lot of courage, and it means a lot, especially on a day like today. And thank you to Cameron as well for speaking. When we became involved as the Cleveland Browns with Cleveland Says No More, it was 4 years ago, and I remember speaking with Cassandra Bledsoe, who also deserves a round of applause. She is the founder of this breakfast, and each year for the past 4 years, we've been blessed to be able to come to this annual event and hear so many stories that resonate with many individuals and families to let us know that we are at the right place, being behind Domestic Violence Awareness Month and the cause. The investment we all make, whether it's your time or treasure, to each and every person in this room means so much. And for a month to be dedicated to domestic violence awareness is much needed and something that I think that we should all take so seriously for the positions that we have and the lives that we can influence. When we first had this event, it was at the 3rd District Police Station, and it's amazing to see that the audience has doubled. And at that event, I remember Browns owner Dee Haslam had spoken to the group to share the commitment that the Cleveland Browns will always have when it comes to Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And as we look 4 years later, I'm proud to also share that the NFL has given several resources to the fight against violence. And with that, there has been over 6,000 individuals, whether it's players, coaches, staff members of the 32 NFL teams that have been educated on domestic violence and sexual assault. So on our end, we are trying to educate and do what we can, and we also applaud Domestic Violence Child Advocacy Center for the work that you do to empower individuals, to advocate for justice, and to educate individuals. The work is just tremendous, and it goes beyond just this month and the celebration we have today. So thank you. We'd also like to thank Chief Williams. He is just tremendous, the leadership that he has in our local community, whether it's on the topics that we're talking about today or just making Cleveland a better place. His leadership is just amazing, and I know from the Cleveland Browns, from the players, the coaches, and everyone involved that we truly value you as a leader in our community. So thank you. As we look to the rest of the month, you guys, everyone probably has seen the orange bracelets that are on your tables. This is the message that we have, we share with our players and staff and community, that we can all have a voice. You know, we are passionate about the Cleveland Browns, and as we wear these bracelets, it's to reflect that passion, but it also reflects the passion to spread awareness and create awareness for lives and volunteer efforts that everyone is part of. So you see a hashtag Give10 on there. Some people are very savvy with social media, some people aren't. But if you are, and as you volunteer this month to continue to create awareness, and as you create awareness throughout the entire year for the good work being done here in the city of Cleveland, we encourage you to use that hashtag Give10 to help unite Clevelanders, to help unite Northeast Ohio, and to help unite our nation on those causes that are so important to us, especially as we celebrate Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Thank you all. We feel like you are all part of our team. It's not just the Browns that are playing on the field on Sundays or Thursdays when we bring home that first victory that we just did, but we are very, very proud to call you teammates in the local community because we believe in Cleveland, we believe in you, and we believe in Cleveland Says No More. Thank you.
I'm going to bring up the architect of this breakfast and really this month for the city of Cleveland, Ms. Cassandra Bledsoe.
Good morning. Here we are again, year 4. And this is the year that I decided to just share briefly how Cleveland Says No More came about. From a stranger, while I was at work, my office got a call, and the stranger threatened to kill me. To this day, I still carry a protection order. It is not up until next year. But I want to thank the Cleveland Division of Police, the City of Cleveland, and all of the advocates who were there for me, all of my friends. And so as I sat in a dark office in the office of the police chief, God gave me the vision for Cleveland Says No More. Thank you. I have the pleasure of once again thanking all of our sponsors, our community supporters, and those who have walked with me and been with me, not only one person since elementary school, but just for the past 4 years that you labor throughout the greater Cleveland in a thankless job with no great fanfare and billboards, no Maserati, no red bottom shoes. But you go out and you do the work to make a difference in people's lives and to save lives. And so this year I am deeply touched by your love and commitment to our community. So I'm going to ask Chief Williams to once again go down on the floor. If all of our law enforcement partners can come forward. For my beautiful co-chair, Jenner Takancic, who has been with me since day one. I love you, Jenner. You can't believe this when you just pick up the phone and someone says, I am with you. Jenner, can you come forward? Over here by the football. Can you get the football and the certificate underneath? To my dear friend, colleague, the world's best boss, Chief Calvin D. Williams, we present you with this great football on behalf of Cleveland Says No More. It takes a great man to allow you to be you and to host this and to stand up before you. So thank you so much, Chief. Miss Yavanka Hall, please come forward. Thank you so much. Mike from Starbucks. Did y'all like the Starbucks? Come on down, Mike. When we saw Starbucks in the news, we said we don't have that problem in Cleveland. We've had a phenomenal partnership with Starbucks for the past few years, and Mike is the regional manager, and he's been phenomenal to us and our law enforcement partners. And we will see him again for National Coffee with a Cop Day at Starbucks tomorrow at the Hanna Building, so join us. But thank you so much. Is there anyone here from A Taste of Excellence who down throughout the years have supplied us and has given us a reasonable price? I think when you're in the rotunda of the City Hall, it's just $2,000 just to be in the rotunda. We don't have to pay that, but we won't tell you what. So we thank God for A Taste of Excellence in their donation. Thank you. To the men and women who tape us and put us on our City of Cleveland TV station, TV 20, will there be a representative from TV 20 to come forward, our media sponsor? Thank you. And our advisory committee that will be having events all throughout the month, and you see their program. To the young man who makes me look good from the Chanel counter at Dillard's, Cameron Black, please come forward. Come on, Jennifer. Phenomenal job, ladies. He takes all those wrinkles away. I really love Cameron. Once you get 50. To the woman who came to Cleveland, who grabbed the helm and is doing a phenomenal job in an impossible position, Melissa Graves, CEO, President, Domestic Violence Child Advocacy Center. My childhood friend, who is now chair of our faith-based initiative, Fearfully and Wonderfully Made, Tanisha Herbin. We'll be reaching out to our faith-based institutions. Michelle Kinney, Blessed Hope, Missionary Baptist Church. Good church girl, Reverend in the making, Auntie, AKA Barbara Rogers, Cleveland Black Nurses Association Incorporated. Our nurses are at every event, talking to us, bringing us information, taking our blood pressures, giving flu shots, loving us, putting out the word. So I thank God for our nurses who are always there, not only to work with our law enforcement partners, but in every community event. What can we say about the next woman? She's phenomenal, excellent, dynamic, handling all of our people with the world's best staff. Will you come forward, Sandra Miller, Cleveland Rape Crisis Center. Not here this morning is Sergeant Roger Stoutmont from the Cleveland Division of Police. You heard him speak last year. He works in our internal affairs. He is also the proud adoptive father of his niece. We will bring forth Lieutenant Dan Ross, Cleveland Division of Police. Acting Commander. Wow. Acting Commander, Cleveland Division of Police, who oversees our special victims units. And finally, Sandy Wood, she had to leave. Sandy Wood from our Cleveland Department of Public Health, who is a strong partner with the Cleveland Division of Police. Will someone from the Rape Crisis Center come back up again? Although she is not here and is not a member of our advisory committee, but I did want to give a special award to Teresa Stafford from the Rape Crisis Center. She's been a dynamic outreach person and just making sure that we all get properly training. And the Rape Crisis Center will have a special SART training on February 12th. You can look on your calendars. Thank you so very much. And if we could get the Domestic Violence Child Advocacy Center to come back up. Been up since 4 a.m. I want to present you with the proclamation from Mayor Frank G. Jackson. Pastor Herban, can you come forward, please? Tanisha's husband. Put him on the spot. Okay, he is going to give us our benediction and prayer of protection. Can you give us, please stand. After that, please do not leave. This will be our 4th year taking a group picture. We will assemble on the stairs of City Hall for our annual Cleveland Says No More photo that will go on our website, and then we will put it and go global along with Chicago Says No More, Hawaii Says No More, Guam Says No More, and so we join the world in saying no more. Thank you so much.
Let us pray. Father God, we thank you once again for the vision that you have given all of these people who are working in behalf of domestic violence. We ask, Father God, that you will continue to lead, guide, and direct them to do those things that would save lives, Father God, to protect the victims. Lord, we just thank you for all that you have done and all that you're doing. Let us go forth from today, make this month and every October and every year, Lord, to be a month of saving lives. We thank and praise you for the leader, for the police officers, and all who is on the field out there working towards safety, Father God. We thank you for your blessings, and we ask it in Christ's name. Amen.
Those of you who receive awards, your boxes are underneath this table. Please come forward so we can put your glass awards in the appropriate boxes. And we will see everyone on the stairs of City Hall for our annual photo.